Roll the camera. Okay.
Kia ora and welcome to OnTV News. I'm Julia.
And I'm Anna. In today's stories, a new crime wave is sweeping the country in the form of woolen graffiti. Scientists have invented an invisibility cloak and we help them to find it. And the latest in weather around the country. But first, a story that will turn your world upside down.
If you think the world is getting more and more topsy-turvy, it turns out you're right. Builders in Germany have built an upside-down house, and before you think they may have read the plans upside down, they did it on purpose. The wacky abode was built as a tourist attraction as well as being a comment on the state of the world. The house is 23 feet tall and rests on its roof and has steel beams in the attic. Inside the house there are beds screwed into the ceiling, upside-down wardrobes and an upside-down kitchen, even an upturned bathroom, though it's not known if anyone has tried to have a bath in it or go to the toilet. Normally a house like this would take 3 weeks to build. This one took over 4 months because workers kept getting confused by the strange angles of the walls. Many tourists visiting the house complain of feeling sick and dizzy after a few minutes just inside. We now cross over to reporter Elsa, who is inside the house. How are you feeling, Elsa?
Thanks, Julia. I'm here with the owner of the house, Logan, and I'm feeling a bit queasy. So what made you decide to build this upside-down house?
Just on my view of global warming, I thought I might like to make a topsy-turvy house to put my way into it.
Interesting. What comment do you feel the house makes about the state of the world?
I think it shows people how bad global warming is at the moment, and I think it might help people turn around and try and make a difference on how it's speeding up.
What are some of the challenges of living in a house where everything's upside down?
Well, any water involving activities just doesn't really work very well.
I see your problem. Now, do you plan on building any more upside-down houses?
No, it's too hard. It just takes a really long time.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. I'm Elsa for OnTV News. Back to you, Julia, in the studio.
Thanks, Elsa. Even watching that makes me feel like vomiting. And now for a story that is truly out of sight. Look out, Harry Potter. The world of science is catching up to the world of magic. Scientists in Europe have created a 3D invisibility cloak which can hide objects by bending light waves. It has been found that light can be controlled by using special tiny crystals that can make objects disappear. So far, scientists have made small objects such as coins disappear, but hope that it won't be long before they are hiding cars, planes, and even people. People have always dreamed of making themselves invisible, one of the top scientists says. The possibilities are endless, and we are very excited. However, since inventing the invisibility cloak, the scientists have been having trouble finding it. As soon as we put it down somewhere, it just disappears. The inventor of the cloak said it appears that they are having trouble finding other things too, like their lunch, which they think may be underneath the cloak. What will this invention actually be used for? Hoping to see through the reasons behind the invisibility cloak, here is our reporter Julia with more on the story.
Hello, I'm Julia, and here with me is Ifan, one of the scientists who invented the invisibility cloak, and here is Bliss, her translator. Thank you to both of you for joining me today. So, what made you invent the invisibility cloak?
She said she saw it on movies and thought it was really cool and wanted to make it real.
Great! Now, obviously you're showing me now how it works, but can you show me a bit more?
There.
Wow, that really is quite disturbing actually. If you're right here, you can see how, wow, that's very weird. Now, what exactly do you hope the cloak will be used for?
She hopes it will be used by spies to find out top secret things.
Right, so obviously have many uses. So how much money do you think you'll make from this invention?
Lots.
Great. Well, that makes things obviously very clear. And thank you for joining us. And now we're running out of time, so back to Julia in the studio.
Thanks, Julia. And now, how's this for an interesting yarn? A new wave of graffiti crime is covering the country thanks to an underground gang known as the Midnight Knitters. These wall-waving criminals are covering tree branches and lampposts with small jerseys and scarves under the cover of darkness. Police say the knitted activities of the gang are illegal because their woolen crimes are being done on public property without permission. The popularity of woolen graffiti is growing more and more. Public objects are being wrapped up every night. But the problem is growing. Police say and warn the midnight knitters aren't caught. Soon every tree, lamppost and traffic light in the country will be warmly dressed against the cold. The problem is spinning out of control. There are a close-knit group of dyed-in-the-wool criminals. We are sketching together a case that is not seamless. There is no real pattern to the crimes, a police spokesman says today. So far, the criminal knitters have escaped arrest and continue to pull the wool over their eyes of both the public and the police. We now go to a secret location with our investigative reporter Bliss, who has exclusive interview Midnight Knitters gang.
Thanks, Julia. I'm Bliss, and joining me in this top secret location is a member of the Midnight Knitters gang. Hello, Julia. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
What led you to the dark underworld of knitted graffiti?
Well, you see, I am an abstract artist, and I felt like doing something a little different. I wanted to make people's lives far more interesting, and it's just a lot of fun.
That's a very, very inspirational thing to say. Do you see yourself as a criminal?
No, not at all. As I already said before, I am an abstract artist. I am not a criminal.
Oh, all right then. Apart from trees, lampposts and traffic lights, what else would you like to graffiti with your woolies?
Well, I would like to make my art far more international, well known, and so I'm thinking of going on obviously on an international scale. So I'm going to possibly be doing the Eiffel Tower, Big Ben, Statue of Liberty. Yes.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So how much wool do you use in a week?
A lot, though, to be honest. It all depends on how I'm feeling, what my star sign is, how I am emotionally.
Oh, well, very cool. Thanks for your time, Julia of the Midnight Knitters gang. Now over to Valerie with the weather update.
Thanks, Bliss, and good evening, New Zealand. Now, let's have a look at tomorrow's weather. Starting in the far north in Kaitaia, we're going to look out for some pretty flash flooding and raindrops as big as your head. And if you're going outside, remember, wear your hat. Moving down to Auckland, there'll be a mix of fair conditions and unfair conditions, but those are just the conditions and you'll have to deal with it. There'll be no weather at all for the Bay of Plenty, but that's expected and they're supposed to be back on holiday in the weekend. In Napier and Hastings, the weather will sometimes be changeable and sometimes not. We really have no idea what's going to happen there. In the Taranaki, a mild depression will bring with a very dull day with no highlights at all, and it will be overcast and gloomy all morning. But things should cheer up by evening, so don't worry. Everything will be fine. Wellington will have another capital day where there will be no wind and the conditions will be so pleasant they'll actually be extreme. Now, at the top of the South Island in Kaikoura, they can expect to have a good day. It's a great day to meet for lunch, go for a swim and read the newspapers. But try and stay indoors in the evening as the weather will be just terrible. Now Christchurch will have a real mix of weather, which will be sometimes unreasonable rainfall and non-sensible wind, moderate thunderstorms and sometimes, in very bad conditions, some angry snow. Now in the lowest part of the South Island, Dunedin will be cold and frosty and unfriendly until late morning when the sun will pop up for a visit. Everybody likes the sun. So that's all from me. Remember, if it's raining outside, wear your hat. Good night, New Zealand. It's back to the news desk with Julia and Anna.
Thanks, Valerie. Well, that's all we have time for today.
We hope you've enjoyed this evening's broadcast. Thank you all for watching and we'll see you again next time. Until then, I'm Anna.
And I'm Julia from OnTV News. Goodbye.
Inohora.
Ladies and gentlemen. Roll the camera. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we are featuring an interview with a very peculiar-looking gentleman.
Scene 1, take 1. Scene 1, take 2. Take two.